like Ariana Grande posts will pop up. I don't follow her. Nothing, like they're not sponsored. It's just random celebrities are popping up on my feed, but the people that I'm following aren't. It's so
Does
weird.
it not say anything above that post, Zach? Like because you follow Kim Kardashian, it's showing you Ariana Grande or something?
I'll have to check next time.
Sometimes I see that. Yeah. Like if it's somebody I don't follow, it's like because you follow XYZ, they're showing you this.
Which is so dumb. It's like because you follow somebody that okay, we're gonna
But
show
you say
you
that
posts.
you say it's dumb because you don't want it. It's smart because it keeps you on the app. That's what they want. They think if you like Kim Kardashian, you probably like Ariana Grande. If you like following ESPN soccer, chances are you'll like following NCAA soccer clips too. You know what I mean? They're just
Yeah,
showing you more of what you already like and what you engage with. You know what I mean?
I think
yeah,
the
true.
problem is they're showing us that, but we feel like we're not seeing the stuff from people we actually
Yeah.
follow.
That's what I was gonna say. I was
And-
like, what, they're showing
But the
me
thing
more
is
posts from...
you're probably not engaging with that. There's a reason to everything. You know what I mean? At least in my head. So you say I follow this person. You may follow someone like, let's just say I followed people from high school. I may not like one of their posts ever. I may not comment on any of their posts, and I may not like ever search out their profile. So according to Instagram and my data usage, I never interact with this page. So they're not going to show it to me if I'm just going to scroll past it, and it's not going to keep me on the platform. You know what I mean?
But also, I do totally know what you mean. Totally. And I think that's 100% true. But my issue is like the metrics that they use of interaction, because like it's just a debt. Like we were talking about this literally right before you came in though, Dylan. But like that's the issue with Reels right now, is that if like these super gimmicky, like way over the top, like kind of Mr. Beast style of videos, like gets clicks, like it gets likes, it gets comments, like, and it encourages people to be that like very boisterous, like pick a side and be like radically a part of something, because that's what gets engagement. But engagement isn't like necessarily indicative of what people want to see. So it's like the metrics they use for the apps are so primitive because they were made like 20 years ago, and the same algorithms have been built upon the same foundations of it since then. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm like, what the fuck? I don't know. I wish there was. I was really hopeful whenever Elon took over Twitter that it would be like the change of the metrics of some algorithms, but I mean, it's been a shit show.
No, algorithms are never going to be like they used to be when they were, I feel, more primitive, and that it was just who you followed is what you were going to see. You know what I mean? Because instantly they want you to be on the platform or for as long as possible and stuff. I can't believe this. Maybe we should save it for one of the episodes or whatever, but
we're already recording, so we can run it if you want.
The paying for verification with Meta. I'm super curious to see how that plays out and stuff, you know.
Are there still requirements
to be verified?
Yeah,
you're going to need to submit a government ID and a few other things, but then like I'm super curious if it's going to be a different color check mark than people who didn't pay for it. You know what I mean?
Oh my god, what if those people get fucking like torn apart? Like the early people where the check mark is like not this blue, it's this blue, and then people are like,
or it's just green or whatever.
Can you imagine like if you were one of the first people to do it and you're like, oh sweet, like I'm gonna get verified, and then it's like a different check mark and everybody just roasts you for it.
Yeah. I mean, it's good for like potential people to, you know, search you up and then, oh yeah, this is a legit business. You know what I mean? Like, I just think like doing a lot of in-person events and things like that, this can help solidify you in that, oh, okay, yeah, this is a local artist here in Chicago. This is somebody we want to reach out to. You know what I mean? Like, I think verification really helps with things like that, but it's better if you can get it on your own rather than have to pay for it.
But I think the problem with getting on your own now is it's like it's too hard for you to get it, because I think they gave it out to a bunch of people like back in the day, probably too easily. And then now you can just kind of pay for it if you can find the right people to get it for you. So it's like people that should legit have it can't get it because they're not celebrity enough.
Right.
I guess. but then you have people that can basically just buy it or who aren't even, I don't know, bro. It's just weird. I think, yeah, man, I don't know.
What metrics would you use? Like in off the top of your head, intuitively, obviously, like you need more time to think about it, I'm sure, but like what would you think would be good metrics to give out verification?
Because I think what they use is, yeah, like articles and TV.
Your
I
articles
don't
of
know, man.
yeah.
I feel like if you're a legit business, like even like Dylan, I think should have a blue check, right?
Yeah, that's crazy to me.
He does stuff in the NFL. He's been in the articles, right? But because he's not, I guess, on TV in the same way, then it's not the same. But again, if you're still somebody who is in a market to where we're no matter how big or small a market is or a niche, if you're a front runner in it, I think it's something that people should have, because there's going to be people that copy and make fake pages. I mean, that's the only reason why I really want it, because when I see like these scamming pages, it makes me feel bad because people get scammed, but then it's also like they're literally a duplicate of my page. They got my name on it, everything. And then if they get scammed by that page, I don't want them to think it's me. So then it just kind of makes me look bad. So it's just kind of like, bro.
Yeah. Which you'd think is the whole reason for doing the check in the first place. Like if you're not gonna, I feel like there should be shortcuts, because it's weird too. I'll see some people that have like 4,500 followers and a blue check.
Yeah.
And I'm always so curious. Maybe I'll just reach out to some of these people and just throw some questions at them, see if they respond, because I always knew you could get it without having a really high follower account, but I'll see like Sean go on TV, or Dylan, like you and your YouTube channel to me should be a fast track. Like if you have over a certain amount of YouTube followers, like I don't know. I don't know if that makes any sense or not, but if to me that's the same thing as going on TV or being written in articles, like you're verified by the community that you've created. So for that not to transfer over to a different platform feels crazy, and it also just kind of sheds light on the real purpose of verification.
Yeah. So anybody that I've talked to, like outside of the customizer community, out of the customizers that are verified, nobody has gotten it through requesting verification on Instagram. Everyone that I've talked to has gotten it, like they pretty much had, I woke up with it one day. Yeah. Like I literally, like I kid you not, everybody who has, that I've heard applied for verification has been denied every time. So, I mean, that's kind of crazy. Yeah. You know what I mean?
That's what I heard, because I follow this guy named Prep Curry. He's a fashion dude. And he had did some stuff with Banana Republic, and he applied for, he said he applied like, I don't know, like 5 times or something, got denied, and all of a sudden one day he just woke up with it. And I was like, dang, bro, must be nice.
That's kind of a cool morning though, honestly.
One of the most interesting things about it though, that Adam Mosseri said, is that when you get this paid verification, it increases your reach, which is very interesting, because does that mean if everybody's getting increased reach, that means other people are getting decreased reach, right?
Yeah. But
that has to exist.
Go ahead.
So it's going to be a lot harder for the smaller people to, is it just going to be flat out harder for them to, go viral or hit a good reach without paying for it? You know what I mean?
The gatekeeping is just built in at this point.
You're really going to have to pay to play. You know what I mean?
I mean, I think it kind of already is though, because part of me wants to say the algorithm and the way it is now is to get people to pay for ads.
I mean, there's a strong argument to support that.
I mean, that's how they make money. Like that's what I mean about the like primitive algorithms as well, is because the whole model of social media is old at this point. It's like Google, Google makes money off of ads. That's how it was when they first started. That's how it is to this day. So these companies that are based off of like the same open source and free to use models all do the same model. So it's like, it really is inevitable that unless you like as your company grows, then the more people, like the more you'll put more ads on the place, and that's the only way you make money. Like why would you not cater to that? Especially whenever you go public with it. So yeah, it's just weird, man.
I think like for us to boost posts and I guess run ads and stuff is fine, but it doesn't work properly. So it's like they lock people's accounts eventually for no reason, and then you just can't run any more ads or boost any more posts for your page.
But Dylan said there's always a reason for everything. So I don't know what that reason is, but I am now curious what that reason is.
A lot of times for customizers that I've seen, people in our space, the reason they're not able to do ads, the reasons they're getting shut down is because they're trying to promote an LV Air Force One or a Chicago Bulls Jordan 1. So right away they're doing trademarked IP that they're posting as for sale. You know what I mean? So if Zach posted an original piece, he's not going to have any trouble boosting it. You know what I mean?
Do you think you're going to get fucked because of your Dior Jordan 4s then?
I don't post it. My shoes aren't for sale. You can't buy those.
Oh, you're saying just with ads. Oh, okay.
But I don't think they even read it, because at the end of the day, I think everything is going to have some kind of copyright infringement, because at some point something has to be fair use. Like even if you look at comedy skits, there's somebody else's content normally within the skit. So at some point, like everything is infringing on something.
I think it's different when you're trying to sell something.
Yeah, but even like me, like I can't run ads. They banned my account almost 3 years ago, and all I was doing was posting artwork of Goku on a shoe.
Yeah. That's why. But I don't think you would be in any trouble if it was a Kilo shoe.
Okay, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I can't find out now.
Yeah,
my stuff's locked, bro.
Yeah,
it's always
dirty.
Yeah, it always changes too, though, and like there's no transparency with any of it. So
where do you go to find this stuff? Where do you go to learn this? You know what I mean?
I don't think there is a place. Like I genuinely don't. That's why what I've been doing a lot recently is just listening to podcasts of like powerful people, because that feels like either that or TED Talks are like really the only two ways for them to like powerful people in powerful positions, like CEOs of Instagram, like, Mark Zuckerberg, all these people. It's the only place where they'll actually talk about it. And only in podcasts is there an opportunity for people to ask hard questions and nearly force them to answer them. So like that's where I've been turning recently to get as much knowledge as I possibly can. And you'd be amazed, bro. Like you really have to there's like pretty much the only podcast I've found that I can get information from at this point is Lex Friedman, because he's really the only one that remains like unemotional and unbiased enough when talking to these people that they feel comfortable like sharing this information. So, and even at that, it's like 2 hours. And then if it's not the right question that you need an answer to, then you'll probably never know at that point.
I think the ad stuff can be overwhelming too. Like even if you just if you went to post an ad, you know what I mean? All the targeting and all this stuff, like just right away, you're like, oh boy, you know what I mean? I think without taking some lessons on doing targeting ads and stuff, you might not be getting, your money's worth per se.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's also one reason why I haven't did the whole get payouts for my reels, is because my account is like locked or something. And I just didn't feel like going through all the stuff to.
The way that those work is absolutely. So I've gotten it maybe the last like 6-7 months. And as soon as I post the first reel, let's just say it gets 10,000 views, right away, there'll be 100 without fail. The last 6-7 months, there's $100 to $110 on a 10,000 viewed reel. And then the rest of the month, I could post a reel every day. There was one month I was posting them. I think I did like 15 straight days. You'll get like 10 cents each day. So there's always this $100 up front. I have no idea why. And then it doesn't matter how crazy it goes after that you're just getting little to no traction. So the payout that I've had the last 6-7 months through Instagram Reels has been plus or minus $10 every time, with a huge variance in total views. So it's not proportional at all.
Oh my God.
It's very weird. Yeah.
Dude, I heard some like insider information about how TikTok creators get paid, and it's really wild. So like KSI was talking about how he had like 44 million views and average like 2 million views per video, but only had like 40ish something videos on his TikTok. And he made in total over the course of those 44 million views, $3,000 total. And he was talking about how it's literally that model, and like even if your videos do really well, it's completely unsustainable as a living. So like that's why like every TikTok creator pushes like 3, 4, 5 videos a day, because the ultimate goal is essentially to make as much as you can and get as many views as you can, but it's completely unsustainable. So you have to transfer it over to YouTube or some other platform and try to get your audience to come with you to somewhere that you can actually get paid, which I had no idea about.
The thing about that too is KSI getting 44 million views. If you hear $3,000, anybody can say, I would love an additional $3,000 a month. But to get to 44 million views, any creator on TikTok that has 44 million views is already big enough at something that they already have a following and a niche, and they're already monetized somewhere else. That 3,000 is, like I said, just a little bit, some icing on the cake. Nobody's mad at making 3,000, but it's not like you could easily say from zero, I'm going to pick a niche today, I'm going to quickly get to 44 million views, and awesome, now I have an additional $3,000 a month. Like that's not a easy to follow model,
No, definitely not. Definitely not. And it also, that's why I really, I mean, this all kind of cycles back. I don't know. Ultimately, I'm thankful. This kind of leaks into something actually I want to talk about later on, but I'll bring it up now. So like that's why I feel like the social medias now need to get used for the purpose, like other purposes besides just the purpose of making money. Like for example, Instagram, it allows you to, and TikTok allows you to use music, which for artists is amazing. Like some projects can go from being completely uninteractive and non-emotional, like visually, to tearing you apart just because you put the proper music with it. And it's all free with Instagram and with TikTok. So that's a huge bonus to me. Like I love that. That's why I still do reels, because my reels don't get any traction, but just the ability to use music is huge.
Yep, you set a tone. Yeah.
Let
me ask you guys a quick question. Describe it in maybe a word, maybe 2 to 3 words, maybe a sentence. When you think of your Instagram, what do you use it for? How is it used? Just like the one word that comes to your mind, or the sentence, short and sweet. Instagram is how I build my community. Instagram is how I market. Instagram is what? Like,
I mean, if I could use one word, I'd say, I guess, portfolio.
That's the word that I was going to say. Yep.
I'd say Instagram is how I stay connected. It's like the old fucking Facebook, like Facebook mom and dad answer to it, but sure. It's true. I'm curious, Sean, you say portfolio. Dylan, you were going to follow with that. So many people recommend you don't do that, and that you get a website for your portfolio, and that Instagram is your opportunity to show personality and to be more carefree and build a community. Like, why do you still see it as a portfolio, even with that knowledge?
I don't think I don't think that there's enough evidence for me to support and justify it, that it's a good idea. But because I've done it for so long in the way that I've just sort of built it up, to me, people are more likely to find me first on Instagram. You know what I mean? Just searching rather than maybe a Google search. So I'd rather them see the portfolio right there rather than hoping they get to the website and check out the portfolio. And I used to have a portfolio on the website. Every single pair I create, I tried to make better than the last. I think every pair I did, I try to make every single pair the best pair I've ever done. So in theory, if I actually believe that, that means I need to go and update my website every single time I create a new shoe, because in theory, it's supposed to be better than anything I've ever made. And I don't want to update a website every single time I buy a shoe. So that's what the Instagram's for. It's updated every time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but the website is a drag and drop picture, dude. The Instagram,
but I have to do that every time I create a pair. I have
but you have to
go
do an
in and
Instagram
log
post
into
every
the website.
time.
It's a lot
but
easier.
It's a lot easier to
post
on
it.
Instagram to edit a website.
You think
there's a double whammy of, if I just go on to Squarespace right now, squarespace.com right now, enter my info, update my portfolio, nobody's seeing it. If I go on to Instagram and post the newest piece that I did, thousands of people will see it.
Yeah, but
you know,
but I do, but like, first, they're not, and also this is super hypocritical, by the way, because I have a website, I spend a lot of time making it, and I do not update it with every picture. So I take what I say with a grain of salt, but just steel manning the argument of really all you have to do is, like, if you have your website made and you haven't made such that it's like a gallery for a portfolio on there, you literally just favorite a tab or star a tab that goes directly to that. You click Chrome, you click that tab to your gallery, and then you just drag from your computer. And if you're already editing your pictures, it's literally no more than a drag and drop. So like, why not just do both?
I mean, like Dylan said, I think it's more people are going to see your Instagram account as opposed to your website. I mean, that's especially when you start building a following, because those people aren't following your website, right? They got to remember to go to your website. Where if you follow somebody, it's just kind of like you can forget it. It's on cruise control at that point. So if they even check the app, more than likely they can potentially see your page. The people that say, I guess, well, just like one is like, I'm not one to tell somebody how they should use their social media.
Oh, me either.
Right?
Yeah.
Yep. Maybe at the
That's
time
true.
when I started my page, I didn't care for people to see my personality or to see who I am. Maybe I just wanted to showcase or show my art to the world. Maybe there are people out there who are insecure about their art, and maybe their social media page is that first step into, building confidence and putting themselves out there in a way to be judged. So for me, that's what it was. Like, I didn't care about people seeing who I was. I didn't care about people knowing my name. I just wanted people to see what I could create. And then from there, I started showing myself more. But it was like, at that point, why do I need to pivot? If they want to see my personality, that's what they have my YouTube channel for, or like my stories, right? Like, my page itself is, I want it to be a catalog of the things that I've created, showing where I started to where I am currently and everything in between.
That's beautiful. Not to create another tangent off of this, but that you talking about, how different people are in different places with their art and using it as an opportunity to be like vulnerable, be like that first step. Now it has me curious, like, how has the vulnerability of social media like affected you guys as people? Like, was that, Sean, I know that was not an easy thing for you, and I know it was also a very conscious decision for me to, like, at the beginning it was kind of like pulling teeth, like both posting but also showing more of my personality instead of treating it like portfolio, just because that's what I wanted from it. Like, do you think that these social medias like force vulnerability in that way? And how has your like personal experience been with it?
Yeah, I mean, it has to, because you're putting yourself out there to be judged by whoever sees it, right? This is just like when people leave negative comments or say certain things in comments. We as people have to learn that we don't have to respond to everything, even though we kind of want to. Like, hey, bro, why would you do that? Those are hideous. And it's just like, and it's natural human nature to kind of all instantly to like, bro, why are you commenting on my post?
Yeah,
but they can, because you put it out there for them to do that,
right?
And so man, it's one of those things where it's scary, but you kind of learn. And for me personally, it kind of helped me come out of my shell a lot, because I built a community. It allowed for me to get more comfortable in more ways than one. Me being on camera, I'm normally a more of a private person, but then I try to share things of, interaction with my son, and just kind of people see behind the scenes of who I am, and just try to motivate people, because I know there are a lot of people that things like this aren't easy for.
Absolutely. Dylan, did you have a similar experience? Like, did you find the vulnerability of social media is at first difficult to overcome? And do you feel like it's molded you into a different person because you've been in a way like forced to do that, especially on multiple platforms too?
Yeah, I don't think that I really probably like struggled with not wanting to be on camera as much. Like I don't really consider myself too much of a shy person. So I think I saw at a certain point, I felt I was no longer growing on platforms and I felt stale. And then when talking with the team, we realized, hey, we got to inject some personality into this, because that's when you start to build trust. You know what I mean? That's when people start to really connect with you. Otherwise, I was just, pretty pictures of shoes on a screen that you could scroll right by. You know what I mean? You never really
Yeah.
got to know who Dylan was or anything, unless maybe you happened to read on some, in a long caption or something like that. But just I know everything changed for me when, joining YouTube, and like you said, yeah, you have to be vulnerable, because it's hard to hide. It's really hard to hide who you are on camera. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Just that you're just gonna it's gonna come out eventually. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, then you're just able to connect with people way easier, build more trust. You know what I mean? All of a sudden people feel like they get to know you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, dude, I like the way you put that too. Like, it's I feel like just accepting wherever you're at is the best way of doing it. Like that's with this podcast, especially. I was really nervous when we first started this because I just don't I never did like, even whenever I did little short Instagram videos, like formal videos where I'm recording like my face and saying something and trying to communicate something, or whenever I was talking about my art, it never came out the way that I wanted it to. And then I listened back to it. And not that I disliked hearing my voice, but it really bothered me, like thinking from somebody else's perspective, listening to myself talk, and then being like, okay, if I was somebody else listening to this, I wouldn't, what I would take away from what he just says completely different than what Zach Kroll wanted to give off.
Mm-hmm.
And that bothered me a lot. Like I've gotten better with it, but even with this podcast, I have to kind of force myself to listen through whenever I'm editing, because we'll be talking about topics. And like there was a post that I created, and somebody made a comment that was like, it was the AI post, and somebody made a comment. Yeah, and somebody commented like, this bald guy saying a bunch of things with no supporting facts. And
it's saying a bunch of words with no meaning or something like that.
Yeah, it was
right?
something like that. And I replied to him. I was like, I genuinely meant this. I was like, it's actually like true. Like it's a good point, because I had all the supporting knowledge in my head, because I was so wrapped up with like being entertaining on the podcast and keeping things moving. I just kind of said what came to my mind first and never said any of the supporting knowledge. So yeah, that's how it's always been on social medias for me. That's like the vulnerable part for me, is I have to just accept that I'm going to, like, as I'm getting better, I'm going to say things the way I don't want to say things,
It's funny. I know you do the podcast, Zach, but Sean, I'm sure there's some times where you're doing some YouTube videos and you edited something and you're like, man, my tone is way off here. Like what I'm saying, this is not the way I meant to say it. This is not, if somebody's seeing this is, I sound angry when I'm trying to say something happy, or I sound really happy when I'm trying to say something really bad happened on the shoe, or whatever the case is. That's so funny that, sometimes just your own tone comes off wrong when you're looking back on what you said or did.
You got to record it, go back and re-record it.
Yeah.
That's probably like my biggest problem with like YouTube or even like Reels is like, there are people that can be in a specific mood, but then when they get in front of a camera, they can just be somebody completely different. Like me, I don't have a poker face, and so my mood kind of affects everything. So it's like if I'm not in the proper headspace to make a video, even though I want to, I can't.
Yeah,
because like nobody wants to, like, I can't pretend to be happy and charismatic and funny when I'm irritated or I'm tired. So it's like I have to be in the headspace at the perfect time for me to sit down and make a video, and it sucks.
Dude, that's why when I make YouTube videos and the type of content I make now, it shows my personality but isn't reliant on it. Because I was the same way. That's why I used to serve at restaurants, and I when I was looking for a part-time job, my mom was like, Zach, you should probably get a serving job. And I was like, Mom, I can't. I seriously can't do it again. And she's like, well, sometimes you just like, she very in a very kind way, but this is the way my parents are, and I respect them for it. And this is, this is a quality I appreciate about myself that they gave me, is she's like, sometimes you just have to do what you don't want to do. Just get a serving job, make some money, try to move on. And I told my mom, I was like, Mom, every time I've had to do what I have to do, I've done it. And I was like, I can tell you I'm not getting a serving job until the last second I have to, because it is so exhausting and mentally stressing to have to go be a positive person every single fucking day to new people, whether they're assholes, whether they're not assholes. I know some servers can do like a really good job of doing whatever and being their own person, not worrying about it, and get great tips. But I was just never that type of person. I'm with Sean. If I was pissed off, I would show that I was pissed off. So then I just was like, I was so stressed out every single fucking day. So yeah.
It's just like, even on here, right? Because I think it would, people like, hey man, you be looking mad. That's just my face, bro. I just have resting bitch face. It is not like me. It's just like, that's just how I look, bro. It's like, even like growing up, my family, like even now they call me Eeyore, because when I answer the phone, I sound depressed. Like I just, hello, like that's just me, man. I don't know why, but that's just how I answer the phone. That's just how I look, dog. I just always been that way.
That's funny.
I think I'm literally the opposite. Even whenever I'm pissed off, then people think I'm just messing around because I smile so much.
I wish I had that problem.
You fucking say that, dude, but then whenever I'm actually angry, it's very hard to convey that information.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine you being angry. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, that's the fucking reason why. Because I'll pick up the phone. I'll pick up the phone with somebody. I'll go, "What's up, pussy?" And then they're just, so I play angry all the time. So then when I'm actually angry, I'm like, dude, why would you do that? They'd be like, come on, bro, stop fucking around with me. You're not actually angry. I'm like, no, I'm definitely gonna think about this the next 3 hours. So definitely angry. Yeah, it's a lot. That's why I think Instagram, like I said, I think at this point, I don't know. I'd love your guys' opinion on this. If you can steel man the argument for Instagram still being a growth platform, that would be awesome. Because I know that some people grow from Reels, but I think if you look at the vast number of people, unless you want to be the person that dedicates most of their free time to understanding the algorithm to the point that you can, like, your only focus is growing, I think for most people, it's definitely like a connection, community building type platform as opposed to a growth platform now.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's like, I think there are people that steadily grow, like even with Reels, but I think it depends on the market too, though. Like if it's more for like the entertainment, I don't know, man. It's hard to say. Because like if somebody's watching stuff to laugh, right? You're watching some comedian or somebody that's doing more of the quote unquote entertainment style of things, as opposed to maybe us with sneakers, I think it's a different kind of viewership. Right? Like which is why Mr. Beast is Mr. Beast. You see what I'm saying? Like Dylan doing shoes or me doing shoes, we're only going to get so big. I think there's a ceiling. Right, like for an artist. Whereas if you're Mr. Beast, pretty much pivot because you're just doing entertaining style content.
Look at Marco though.
Yeah, but he still has a ceiling, right? And he also pivoted though at the same
He's at
time.
5 million
Yeah, but he also pivoted though.
He's not
making. He's not even close to making the content he made when he first started. When he
Yeah.
first started, he was customizing.
Yeah.
Now every video is, hey, I made shoes for Kevin Gates.
Yep. It is. It is.
So
It is. Playing the game, you know?
yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. But even like other artists that I see, like they have to pivot. They're not making the same content they were when they were primarily focused on making art, I guess.
I actually, this does make me wanna, there's a couple of people that I know, well, not personally, but I know of that are artists that have like made their living on Instagram specifically, like growing from zero, and they make art content and now they do really well. And I really want to like just pick their brain about that. Like what decisions did they have to make along the way, and what sacrifices did they have to make to what they wanted to make the content that was needed? You know what I'm saying? Maybe it's not.
I think it's just ever changing with the times. You know what I mean? Even right now, this stuff, this style of content won't be the same in a couple of years. If you joined Instagram in 2014, you did grow by just posting cool photos. Nobody was making quick, short form, 8-second videos that loop to try to go viral. Like nobody was doing that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I think sometimes it's about what do I think will give me the best chance to succeed while also remaining true to my brand and identity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like as artists, we may think, oh man, if I just did like this corny thing, this may go viral. But at the same time, I don't want to cheapen my brand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, I just remember on TikTok a few years back, it was just real popular to a lot of people, a lot of sneaker artists were growing by placing one stroke of paint on the shoes and then having an audio that says, send this to someone with a big butt, or send this to someone. And
let's bring that one back, baby.
And then you tag someone and all of a sudden
tier.
it has millions of views because you tagged a lot of people in the comments. It was short. So according to the algorithm, people watched the whole thing and engaged with it. So in theory, the algorithm may not see the video. It just reads the data, and the data says this is a good piece of content. So let's push it out. But is that helping the artist versus, something where people can actually see the rise and fall of a project? And to me, that's what's so unique about YouTube. And what I love is that you get to present storytelling. That's what you're doing with videos. You get to see, and there's only so many stories. Like in terms of movies, there's like 6 to 8 basic stories or something like that. And so many movies follow the hero's journey in A New Hope and things like that has been followed so many times, of rise and fall and stuff. And that's what you get to do. You get to present a story so people can follow along and see you rise and fall. That's not possible through a photo, really. You know what I mean?
How conscious do you think that story should be, Dylan? Like, because you think about, ideally you'd want to have control over your story and have people see what you want them to see to give the narrative you want to give. But I think everybody knows over the course of years that ultimately doesn't work out. The micromanaging of every single post being the next step of your story is like truly exhausting. So how conscious do you think that story is? Or do you think that story will just naturally become whatever it becomes because you're creating what you want to create?
So do you mean on a big picture scale or like on a per video?
Well, so kind of both. Like, do you think when you're making those per videos, do you think you should be conscious over what your big picture is? Or do you think that the big picture will just develop from you saying, I'm going to make my video the way I want to make my video?
I think the big picture develops just by you being consistent over time. And hopefully, naturally, you're going to grow as an artist, as a storyteller, as a video maker, all these types of things. But early on, this stuff doesn't matter. It just matters
Right.
about getting going and things like that. This is like another thing where it's like, oh boy, I want to join YouTube, but I don't know about storytelling, anything like that. I didn't think about storytelling for the first 200 videos. It's
Yeah.
just post. You know what I mean? Just post and go. But now it's like, how can I tell a story here? How does this look to somebody who's finding my videos for the very first time? And how does this look for somebody who's watching the 250th video of mine? You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
how can those two people have a different experience, but also a good experience? And it's up to me to dictate that and things like that, you know?
Yeah, dude. And also to go off what you were saying, I feel like that timeline is different for everybody. Like you threw out the seemingly random number of 200 videos, but like for me, if I was just customizing, I could have been telling a developed story 150 posts ago, but because I chose to branch into different media, and I feel like there was big gaps in knowledge, and especially in connecting those to tell a cohesive story instead of each one developing their own kind of mismatched, jumbled up aesthetic and story, then it took a long time. And I'm still not at that place. Like there's actually, I'm learning 3D modeling now, and
Mhm.
and I'm finally getting to the point where I can combine all of them to think about what a story would look like because of the advantages of each of them, and it's becoming that turning point. It's becoming that 200th video for me. I'm probably at 190. And but I mean, it's been 3 years now, and it's
Mhm.
been, I don't know how many posts I'm at, like 300 something, I think. I mean, that's still, like I said, that story could have happened 150 posts ago if I stick to one medium. So it's going to be different depending on what you want to accomplish.
So I remember, for example, in the first half of the last decade on Instagram, I remember every so often I would see a comment that says, you'd post a new picture of something you did that was cool, and people would say, "Oh man, I've been following you for years. It's been cool to see your growth." Or, "Oh man, I remember when you just started. It's really cool to see where you are now." So before, people used to have to see your story over a huge timeline. You know
Uh-huh.
what I mean? And it was just because you were steadily posting and growing over time. Now you have way more control over that narrative. You know what I mean? Whereas before, it was just picture posts that you hope they see over a span of time. Now you can have way more control over that through what you can do with all these different platforms and stuff, you know?
That was so
Just a
charming
thought that
though.
came to me.
Yeah, no, I think that's a cool thought, because it made me think that that's really charming. Like I remember FBCC is a
Mhm,
customizer. He does See a Collective now,
mhm,
and he, like, when I first started following him, I think it was when I was 16, so like 10 years ago now, 9, 10 years ago. Then I just scroll back and see those posts now. Like, he didn't delete any of them or archive them. And
mhm.
dude, it brought back like the wave of nostalgia that like trading cards does. Because I remember, like, at the time I bought his soul die to dye the souls actually on a pair of shoes that's right up there.
It's good
And
stuff.
yeah, it's great. It's great stuff. Dude, like those things in the moment you never think about that you'd give a shit about, but then you're randomly
Yeah.
scrolling and you're like, oh, I remember this dude, and you go back. And I wonder if, now that I'm thinking about it, I wonder if that's another downside of doing portfolio Instagram, is that, yeah, your pictures will get better and they'll change a lot. But if all your if you're doing videos and stuff, it's different. But like, if you continue to do the only take pictures of your shoes when you finish a new pair of shoes, then when you look back, there's not much of a story. There's no, I don't think I would get as much appreciation if I saw somebody's 200th picture in a studio as opposed to their first picture in a studio. You know what I mean?
I agree.
Oh.
I think that, so if your story isn't there, where are you telling it? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So for example, just like, are you on YouTube? You know what I mean? Or are you just way more, are you presenting your work and telling your story in a different way on TikTok or whatever the case is? You know what I mean? Um, How are you making sure that you're not being one dimensional, you know, and letting people in? I think it's good to let people in. I think a lot of this comes down to a lot of what we're getting at is opening up and showing more of who you are as ways that all of a sudden you become a lot more relatable to people. Now, all of a sudden, when people see Sean's background, they're like, oh yeah, this is a dude that I can relate to. You know what I mean? He's a nerd like myself. He's into all this stuff.
Do you think that do you think we'd all be friends if we never privately interacted? Do you think any of this would have happened though if we were just artists that we respected and commented on each other's posts and whatnot? Because that's why I mean, like, I don't know if Instagram is really a growth platform anymore. Like, I think it's really about like the people that I know that I talk to and all the opportunities I've had and everything I'm doing right now has come from me messaging somebody and saying, let's hop on a video call. I would like to get to know you. None of it has been.
How'd you find those people?
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Yeah, I think it just depends on how you use it, right? It's like if you go to the gym. I may go to the gym to lift weights. You may want to get on the treadmill.
Yep, but you're still both going to the gym.
Yeah, Dylan may want to
still exercising.
I sure different strokes for different folks, player.
Yeah. I think if you're going to make an objection like that Instagram is not a growth platform in 2023, frame it as, okay, so what is?
What platform
Only
is?
fans?
Yeah, there you go. So actually, if you're starting in 2023,
I don't know about that.
If you're starting as a sneaker customizer in 2023, what should you do? What is Zach's advice? Let's hear it. Zach, go on a minute rant. Make this a good one.
Okay. This is my honest advice. I would like to get feedback from this. This is what I did, and I'm happy with my situation. And this is what I would change based off of what I feel like I did wrong. Okay. First off, focus on it almost entirely on being the best artist that you possibly can. I think everything will branch back to your work at a certain level. I think you will limit yourself no matter, unless you want to be purely entertaining, but just from an artist perspective, like, I think you need to focus on your work. I think that's the foundation for everything moving forward. Secondly, I think where it's good to follow people that you respect, I think that ultimately you need to learn from their work, and that just following and commenting them and hoping that they're going to appreciate that and become your best friend and start sharing your work and you're going to blow up is crazy. I think that if you respect somebody's work and your work isn't at that level, then you need to learn from their work and get to that level in your own way, in your own style. Okay. After that, this is where I think I differentiate from you guys. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but all of my success and all of my favorite relationships with my favorite people have come from shooting a DM to people and saying, I respect your work. I would love to know more about your journey and who you are as a person, as well as share my story and see if there's anything we can relate about. Not as formal as that, but like, that's the idea. And so I'll just reach out to people and be like, you want a video call? And they'll say yes. Those are that dynamic and that conversation has led to every single opportunity I've ever gotten from this platform. Every single one. I have hundreds of posts with some very famous people, some very relevant people have commented on my posts. Some people follow them. Some people, like, the whole 9 yards. I've had so many shares. My community has been so generous and so many saves, the whole 9 yards. I've catered to the algorithm at so many different places. And what it's gotten me has been 0 sales, literally 0. And all my relationships have been from taking the next step to having a genuine conversation with vulnerability and intimacy with normal people, as opposed to keeping it in the public sphere. So that's my recommendation. I think if I was going to pick a platform to do that, Instagram's fine for that. I think that Twitter is amazing for that. I think that Yeah, I'd probably say Twitter. Honestly, Clubhouse was huge. I don't know what Clubhouse is now, but when I first got started, Clubhouse was the place to do that. So Clubhouse, Instagram, Twitter. But that's my advice. What do you guys think?
So what have you gotten sales from?
I've gotten
My question.
so I got sales from first of all, people that I've messaged. So like relationships that I've formed with those people, like after video calls, and they became my friends and wanted to support. So it's been like either you guys or other friends in the community. And then after that, it was
So be specific about who you're messaging. You're just messaging other artists. You're just messaging people that click like on your photo.
oh no, it's anybody that I get an inkling would be interesting to talk to. So like there have been some art collectors that I've messaged, obviously like largely for the purpose of seeing if they're interested in my art. And there have been some other artists in the digital sphere whenever I first got into it that I approached them, not like, hey, come check out my artwork, but it was like, I don't know shit about this and it's really interesting. I just want to let you know I appreciate your work and I'd love to talk and hear about your story. So there's been that. There's been other customizers that I'm like, hey, I like your work. Like you do something very unique. I'd love to hear about your process on things. So literally anybody. I've messaged tattoo artists. I've messaged soccer players. I'm just whoever most don't reply, but like the people that do hop on a video call, photographers. And I also learned so much from those people. Yeah. What do you learn from endlessly commenting on each other's posts saying like, great job? Like it's really sweet and kind, but like in the grand scheme of things, I think that if you want to grow and get new opportunities, you have to develop relationships with people. You know what I mean?
Interesting. Good insight. Good insight.
Thank you. Do you guys agree with that? Honestly,
I think a lot of what you said is really good. I think this is my opinion, and this I wouldn't have had this input without seeing too many examples of it. I think Sean would agree with you. I think a lot of people would agree with you when you say, I think you started off with focus on being the best artist possible. I think with that being your first focus and finding your style and all these types of things, I almost think in 2023, that stuff comes secondary to being a content creator as well, as much as people hate that word and things like that, you know what I mean? And I'd rather just create art and not content and stuff, which I totally get. But to give yourself the best chance to succeed, I think that stuff is just so vital nowadays that when trying to be the best artist possible, that's naturally going to come as you continue to progress. You're trying to have the goal of every single pair you make. I want this pair to be the best thing I've ever done, or I'm going to make this pair as best as I possibly can with my given talents today. You know what I mean? But I've just seen far, way too many artists that are exceptionally talented that cannot grow a business because they don't know. So that this comes down to business versus hobby, passion, love, art. You know what I mean? What are you trying to do? What is your main goal? If it is to grow a business, there's more to growing a business than just being the best artist possible. You know what I mean? I think that's a good way of putting it. Because I've just seen far too many exceptionally talented people that want to give up or can't grow because they don't understand how to grow or how to play the game, you know?
I do. I completely agree with that because I mean, all of what I just said comes from somebody that actively tries to make content that people enjoy, and it evolves my content too. So I don't think that, I'd like to hear your thoughts, Sean, because I still don't believe that content should come first. I think that your foundation is much more important. I think content can be a foundation if you're looking to be a businessman or a businesswoman. I think that's where your foundation is. I think if you're trying to be an artist, your content can't be your foundation, because ultimately, like, it really depends on what your goal is. If your goal is to get followers, of course, like, just focus on content. If your goal is to be in galleries, maybe you'll get to the point where you meet galleries because of your content.
Right.
If your art's
Right.
dog shit, who the fuck cares? Like, there's always going to be that disconnect. And that's why, like, the hard part to me is getting the fundamentals down. That's the most time consuming part. Getting a style that you like, understanding yourself as a person and an artist is the hard part. It takes forever. But like, if you can do that and then focus on content, then you have nothing. You're not selling anything. You're just talking about things. Everything comes easier at that point, What do you think, Sean?
I think you can be a great artist and not be discovered. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Unfortunately. But if you grow a following because of your content, opportunities are going to come your way. You know what I mean? So
what if opportunities come though that you're not ready for?
You learn from that. You know what I mean? Okay, I'm not able to do that at this time, or you do it at this time and you say, wow, I fell flat on my face and here's what I'm going to do moving forward. You know what I mean? But you'd rather have the opportunity to fail, you know what I mean, and stand back up than never be given the opportunity. Let me fail and stand up and pick myself up rather than never hand me the opportunity to try and succeed.
I don't know if I agree. Like, I agree with that, but I don't think failing when you don't need to fail is the answer. Like, I think it's like the idea where if you focus on content and you get 2 million subscribers, but you don't know what the fuck you're doing, and you don't understand your content, you don't understand how you even did what you did as a fluke thing, then if there's no method to the madness, then it's like fleeting. The whole thing is ephemeral. And I feel like if you're trying to be an artist, then having no foundation and no concept to it, you're bound to fail. Because like the thing that I don't fully agree with what you said, Dylan, is that, yeah, you'd rather get the opportunity and then fail and learn from that and then be ready for the next opportunity. But when the lesson you learned from the opportunity that you failed at was that you aren't strong enough as an artist, you can't just learn from that. Like, it takes years. But it takes years.
You can learn from that. Why would you not be able to learn from that?
But because the point is you can learn from it, but you can't immediately adapt. You
can.
No, you can't. It takes years. You can't if you're making, dude, if your color blocking isn't good and you get a big opportunity to make a bunch of pairs for somebody, maybe 200 pairs for the Queen of England and all of her royalties, then you send those shoes to them. They're like, these are dog shit. Then you can't just not be dog shit. Like, it takes time to develop.
Yes, you can.
No, you can't. The next day you will not be not dog shit.
I'm not saying the next day. I'm not saying the next day, but the next opportunity. You learn, what did I do wrong? Okay, I did these and they cracked because I didn't prep them right, or I had this went wrong because I did this process wrong. You know what I mean? Now the next time around, when you get that opportunity again, you'll be able to knock it out of the park. You learn from it. You know what I mean?
I do, but when your opportunity is blowing up, when you post a video that you're focused on content, you did a really good job, your video gets 5 million views, you instantly have hundreds of orders. You don't have the time to allow yourself to grow then. You have to deny all those opportunities. Either that or just accept that they're not going to be good if you're not good. Like, it takes so much time to grow in the area of art with like perspective and lighting and all the things that Sean has taken years to learn, that you can't just expect to fail and then the next day apply all those things. Like, that's what I mean. If you focus on the fundamentals first, then you can adjust accordingly. If you fail in the sense that like your details were slightly off, you can apply that to the next one. If you have no foundation and you blow up, then you're essentially doomed to create bad artwork for how long?
Not true, dude. That's so not true. That's so not true. That's ridiculous.
No, it's not.
That's ridiculous.
It takes time.
When you do something for long enough, you are going to get better. When you are putting in the work, even if you're not good at color blocking, you're not good at details, you are going to develop rhythm patterns to understand how to hold a paintbrush. You have to hold that paintbrush for 10,000 hours. You have to hold that airbrush. You have to fail. Your airbrush has to clog 500 times that you want to throw it out the window before you feel comfortable enough to have it in your arsenal and use it every day. Failure is good. Okay.
Yeah.
If you never fail, you don't know that you're failing. You know what I mean?
That's not,
you don't know what you need to learn from.
No, I agree. I agree with that. What we're talking about is focusing on content versus focusing on fundamentals of art, right?
Mm-hmm.
If
so,
you
hold on, Zach, hold on. Let me.
Okay. Yeah.
I both of you have solid points, right? What I think, because what Dylan is saying is when you mess up, you have to fail to succeed. But what Zach is saying is you can practice every day, but if you're not practicing in the right way, you still aren't going to improve, right? So,
yes, you will. Yes,
no,
you will.
You won't though. You may think you will, but if you don't know what it takes, just like you, right, when you did the portrait work of Scottie Pippen, you ask questions and you study the right kind of content in order to improve your portrait work. But if you don't know what to study or how to study it, your portrait work isn't going to improve in the way that it should be. You can even look at customizers that have been customizing for the last 5 years. Their portrait work is not on the level as it should be if they were practicing portraits constantly, how it should be practiced for the last 5 years. Because
what they're believing, what they're doing is already okay. They're not forcing themselves to say, they believe they're putting out a good portrait already. You know what I mean? So what you're saying is if you have bad jump shot form, like Lonzo Ball when he's in college and he has his elbow tucked in, if you go out there and shoot 10,000 shots a day, will you get better? Yes. Even if it's the wrong form. Yes. He can get better at shooting that. Is there a better way? Can you correct the motion to shoot a better jumper? Yes. He had one of the best shooting coaches in the NBA. When he went to New Orleans, all of a sudden he transformed himself into one of the best high volume shooters in the NBA because he changed his shot. But was he not a good 3-point shooter previously? Maybe not. But you can get better by changing your form and practicing more efficiently. You know what I mean? So what you're saying, if you practice the right things with portraits and stuff, can you get exponentially better to reach a true great artist level? Yes. Can you reach great by doing bad form and bad things consistently? No. But can you improve from where you are? Yes.
So Sean, where you were, first of all, Dylan, I totally agree. Let me try to rephrase what I'm saying and bring it back to originally what we were talking about. Because Sean, what you said was part of what I was trying to say, but I think it boils it down to it boils it down in a way that I wasn't trying to communicate. So let me try to rephrase this. We're talking about focusing on content versus focusing on fundamentals first. We both agree that both need to happen to give yourself the best chance of being a successful artist.
I can't say I want to die on the hill that you need to focus on content first. I don't think that's
okay.
I think it matters. Okay, here's the hill I'm willing to die on.
Okay.
It matters, maybe as simple as it matters way more than you think, or it matters way more than the general populace think, or it matters way more than you think if your goal is to grow as a business. You know what I mean? I think with those sort of stipulations, that's what I'm willing to die on.
Okay.
I'm not trying to say that, because the counterpoint to anything I say to this point is, so you're saying you could be a bad artist, but if you have a good looking video with good sound, good story, you're going to grow. Can that happen? Yes. But then what happens when you're presented with a certain opportunity? Things can go bad. Yes, absolutely. It's just, this is trying to bring up all things at once. Of course, I think naturally, like I've been trying to say, your art is going to get better over time if you're focusing on the right things, if you're trying to grow in all areas, not just repeating the same bad form every day. But then focusing on content is going to give you a better opportunity to succeed in today's world than just hiding in your basement and becoming a world-class artist. You know what I mean?
Succeed in the sense of like what though?
I guess business opportunities.
Okay. Because I'll definitely concede that for sure. Because that wasn't the original reason I was bringing up the point, because
Sure.
what I was dead set on, and what I understand having a different perspective to this for sure, but to me it doesn't make sense to say, if you're trying to be an artist who is proud of their work, who has the ability to create and wants respect in the field and wants to be in galleries and wants that level of expertise and excellence, it never makes sense to me to focus on creating content first. Second, for sure, not first. And that's what was like hard for me. I was like, I can't fucking concede that, because like, yeah, at the end of the day, when presented with two options, whether it's for 3 years grind in my basement and become the best artist, then focus on content and see if I can get opportunities, or focus on content trying to get opportunities, and then once I get opportunities realize, oh fuck, I have a lot of catching up to do, I definitely go with option one 100% of the time. You know what I'm saying?
That's a good problem to have, that you have to catch up.
But why catch up? You're
learning how to run a business. That's a good problem to have, to be too busy.
But not too busy, not skilled enough. It's like saying, it's like offering oil changes before you know how to change a fucking oil. Like it.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It's like,
Sure.
okay, you may get a bunch of people in, you know?
That's a very specific example, but I'm not saying offer, you know what I mean, portrait work if all you do is color blocking because people found your content. You know what I mean? That's not what I'm saying. So much of this comes down to what the perspective of, what are you trying to do? Is your focus to get in galleries? Is your focus to commit to sell as many one-of-one pieces as possible? Or is the best thing that can happen to you, Nesquik or Sour Patch Kids reaches out to you like Vic and says, hey, because of your content, we want you to do this, and we're going to pay you $5,000 for an Instagram reel. What is like the dream for you to wake up to? You know what I mean? Or just be flooded with website inquiries about getting a one-of-one. You know what I mean? And that's where you can, Zach, you're so pro gallery and almost like fine art probably isn't the word, but being respected as a fine artist, that you're going to have a different approach than I would, or you know what I mean?
Definitely.
I think so I think it depends on your goal, right? So the foundation and fundamental thing what Zach is talking about, you know, they say you can take like a turd and paint it. The turd looks good, but in the end of the day, it's still a turd. So no matter how good you may think it looks, if your foundation isn't there, it's still not going to change anything. So in the whole regard to the content and art thing, like it depends, like Dylan said, on I think what your end goal is, right? I think there's people who want to be content creators, there's people that want to be artists, and there's people that are in between. So if you're like myself, or like even like Zach, he focused more so on the art side. That's how I was and am. Is I don't really want to care. I don't care about, the only reason why I make content is for my art. I don't care about making content. I don't want to be a content creator. If it wasn't for my art, I wouldn't be interested in content. And so for me, the art side is the important side for me, because that's what I want to be known for. I don't want, you know, when you pass away, what are they going to say about you? I don't want to be, oh, Columbia Fresh was a good content creator. No, he was one of the dopest artists or sneaker artists, whatever you want to say, that I've ever seen. That's what I want next to my name, not, oh, he made dope content, right? And there's people who are dope content creators who may not have the artistic ability that other people have. And there's nothing wrong with that. Again, I just feel like you have to figure out what it is you want for you, how you want to make your money and your brand. You know, Vic with her brand deals is dope. When I like doing stuff like that, yes. But the whole purpose of me wanting to necessarily do that is to have financial income so I can then focus more on my art. So everything for me goes back to my artwork, right? I don't necessarily care about brand stuff, quote unquote, you know, in that way, if I can't be artistic at the same time. So yeah, man, I just think it just boils down to how you want, what you want for you and your brand. I don't think there's a right or wrong. I don't think there's a right or wrong way to go about it. It just depends on you.
That's what was so awesome about before all the video stuff, before Reels, before even YouTube really got popular, that it was just people posting their sneaker art. And like Zach was saying, there's such a fondness for that era. It was so funny.
Yeah,
Nobody was,
beautiful.
there was no content creators. Nobody cared. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You took a picture of your shoes when they were done. Maybe you spent a little more time. But yeah, what a good time that you didn't have to worry about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, I mean, Sean's right though. I know Dylan was getting at this too. And it's all perspective. Nobody's wrong. Like I offer one perspective and Dylan offers a different one, and he's 100% right. Whatever you want to get out of it, so you should get out of it. And I also, for the record, don't think anybody should ignore and not put effort into social media. I think it is undoubtedly, I think if you do that and you're trying to make a living out of it, then you're going to have a really, really hard time now. Yeah. I think that if you can cite people that have done it and people still do it, but the vast majority of people that made a living off of doing art, not from social media, they came from a prior time and transitioned into this time. Usually it's not, at this day and age, it's really, really difficult because even galleries like Sotheby's looks on TikTok and Instagram to try to find a lot of artists. Like look at the most popular artists right now, like Ferocious is, I would say, one of them in contemporary art. A lot of it is because like he gained such a massive following from his community and they supported what he was doing. So yeah, for the record, yeah, I definitely think you need both. And I also think, just to make this very clear, everybody's going to grow over time. I'm not saying that you should have everything figured out with your art and then start making content. I think you should do both simultaneously. I just think jumping into focusing on content before you understand like what it is you're trying to make even is probably not a good idea if you're trying to be an artist.
Yeah, I mean, it's like what's your goal, right? Because sometimes content can be a distraction. Like I don't know if you guys have seen like Last Chance U on Netflix, about like the junior colleges that have like maybe athletes that got in trouble with these D1s and they go to these certain schools that kind of try to re-get a scholarship to prolong their basketball or football careers. But like the basketball one, some of the best players weren't even filmed in the series, or even the football one, because they didn't want to be distracted by the cameras to take away from what they're at school to do, which is to play football. And that's how maybe like people like me feel, is if I'm busy making content and I always feel like I have a camera in my face and I got to stop what I'm doing to make sure my camera's in the right position, it's a distraction for me and my art, or maybe what I'm trying to accomplish. If I'm trying to get better, or if I'm trying to work out, a perspective or an angle, that's a distraction. So if I know I want to get better at a certain thing, maybe it's my storytelling or how I draw a specific character, that's what my focus is going to go into. I'm not worried about making content around it because I want to be 110% focused on what I'm doing. And I want to get so good at it that I no longer have to think about how I have to do it again. It's just muscle memory. So
I like that, bro.
To sum it up, to end it, I think with some of the stuff you guys are saying, I think it's hard as an artist, to, of course, want to focus on the art, but then you almost can't say to yourself, well, why am I not growing if you're not caring more about the content side and things like that? Yeah. If your goal is to grow, why am I not growing? Why is my business not growing? Why am I not getting any traction if I'm not putting more time and effort into that stuff? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but then that's the hard one too, because there are people like even us that put time and effort in our content, and it seems like, it's just sometimes it's good, other times, it's a miss, but it's like you have to still play.
Maybe what you think is good isn't good.
Yeah, but it could literally be the same thing that somebody else did. It's just the algorithm picked that up and it goes viral, and then now
absolutely a possibility.
So I don't know.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
it's when we start stripping on camera, bro, and painting at the same time.
Yeah. That's the best way, man. Subscribe, $14.99 a month.
Yes, sir, bro. Link in the bio, of course. No, I think it's a bad, to your point, Dylan, I think it's a bad mentality to have, to think that the algorithm is arbitrary, because it's definitely not. Like
Mhm.
if something doesn't do well, it's always for a reason. It can be for a reason that you don't like. It can be for a
Yep.
reason that you're not willing to fix. Those are all decisions that you can make. It can be for a reason you don't understand. That's not a decision, but you got to try to figure it out. But there's always a reason, you know.
Yeah.
So, all right, hey boys, this is a perfect place to end this out. I hope that you guys listening got a ton of value from the conversation. This is a fucking awesome one. I enjoyed it a ton, honestly. So if you guys enjoyed it as well, please subscribe, please like, and please leave any comments you have in the comment. Let us know your thoughts on the episode and any of the topics we were talking about, and we'll see you guys next week. Adios.
Peace.